So the video actually is a pretty decent introduction. Lays out some examples of bones and joints, which is going to be chapter 8, and especially functions of your skeleton. This is actually a fairly accurate cat skeleton, other than the spine being too short and the ribs taking up too much of the body. Fun fact, cats have 3 more vertebrae between their head and tail than we do, and that's why they're so flexible. So bones are the organs of the skeletal system. So an organ is made of multiple tissues. Obviously they have bone tissue, that's the most important one. There's also some cartilage, dense connective, both regular and irregular, and in some places some elastic. And then blood and nervous, because vessels and nerves are travel through the bone. Bones have some general structure. They're classified by shape. And then one of those shapes, a long bone, has some additional details to its structure. In this section, we're also going to look at the microscopic structure of bone. We saw a little bit about compact bone in the tissues chapter. We're going to identify more of the parts and also have a look at spongy bone. Your bone categories are long, short, sesamoid, flat, and irregular. You can probably guess a little something about their shape from the names. Sesamoid are sometimes called round bones. So, long bones, as you would expect, are long, and they're thin compared to their length. They're also wider at the ends. I have a couple examples of long bones in here. Long bones are all found in your limbs. These two form the main parts of the leg. You can see, although there are variations in what the ends look like, they're all thicker than the shaft. Here's one that's much thinner, a shorter one from the arm. I'll pass a couple of these around for you to look at. And in lab, we're going to learn some of these specific names. And as I said, there's something different on the internal structure of a long bone that we'll look at coming up. Short bones are roughly equal in 2 or 3 dimensions. They're not necessarily quite cubes. They can be rounded. They can be somewhat irregular, like this one has these 2 smooth areas and some rough areas in between. They don't have any major spikes or holes in them. Short bones are found in the hands and feet, right where they meet the arm and leg. The one shown on the picture is this one, which is your heel bone. There's a group of 7 in the foot, 8 in the hand, called tarsals and carpals, although one of these 8 is a sesamoid bone. Some sources count sesamoid bones as a more specific type of short bone. Incidentally, as those are going around, the longer bones of the hand and foot are actually long bones, even the little tiny ones in the fingers and toes. Sesamoid bones are round, or close to round. The best known one is a little bit pointed at the bottom, which is where they get the name sesamoid, which means resembling a sesame seed. It is flat when you turn it, this is your kneecap, also known as the patella. This is one of two pairs of sesamoid bones that everybody has. And sorry, I only have one of it, but the hand's going around on this side. The one that's sesamoid is the roundest out of the set. It's at the edge by the pink. Other people may have sesamoid bones in other places. They form inside a tendon that gets a lot of strain put on it. So if there's another tendon somewhere in your body that gets a lot more work than is typical, a sesamoid bone could form. Flat bones, you would expect, are flat. There are a variety of them. Ribs, the sternum or breastbone, most of the cranial bones, parietal, frontal, occipital are definitely flat. Temporal has some thicker portions to it, but is definitely flat at the top. I'll pass around the skull cap and the sternum to start with. Your shoulder blade is also a flat bone. It has more bumps and thicker portions up here, but most of it is just this flat triangle. And the hip bone is actually made of 3 bones, and this top one is a flat bone. So here's 2 more flat bones to look at. Then the last group is irregular bones. The reason I kept the skull up here is most of the facial bones are irregular. You've got zygomatic, maxilla, it's got thicker portions to it, parts that stick up. Vertebrae are also irregular, and they are pretty distinct as such. They've got a big hole, a bunch of different spikes, generally symmetrical, but not an easily defined shape. Any questions on bone categories? Long bones. The shaft is called the diaphysis. The wide ends are called epiphyses, and I'm just going to do this as a cartoon bone. Singular is epiphysis with an I. When you talk about them both together, it's epiphyses with an E. The diaphysis on the inside has a thick layer of compact bone. And usually there's a little bit of spongy bone lining it. It's called spongy because it's not flexible or squishy like a sponge, but it has holes in it like one. Spongy bone fills the epiphyses. They just have a thin layer of compact bone. And there's an area that's connecting the diaphysis to the epiphysis. That's called a metaphysis. So meta for between. Parts of the epiphyses, not the whole thing, like it implies on the slide, have articular cartilage on them. And that's for any place where two bones are going to meet. We talked about it under hyaline cartilage, where it provides a little bit of padding, like putting rubber feet on a wooden chair to keep it from scratching a wood floor. It keeps the bones from scratching each other. So here's the illustration from the book, where we can see the compact bone here and the spongy, because they have more time to dry. The space in the diaphysis is called the medullary cavity. You'll see medulla a couple more times throughout this course and A&P 2. It refers to something inner most of the time. Bone marrow is found within the bone, surrounded by bone tissue. There's two types. Yellow marrow, which stores fat. That's found in the medullary cavities. Then red marrow, which makes blood cells, and that's found in the spaces in spongy bone. I'll do it as dots here in the epiphysis. Not quite that close to the surface. Yeah. Exactly where you have red versus yellow marrow depends on age for the most part. When you're born, you have mostly red marrow throughout your skeleton. As you grow, you don't get more red marrow to fill in the space. You start depositing yellow marrow to take up that space and fill the medullary cavity. Most adults don't have much red marrow left in the long bones. It's been replaced by yellow. You have red still in your flat bones. Questions on long bone structure?
Which marrow do you use to create organs?
To create what?
Organs? Like how they use bone marrow to create organs?
That would be red, because it's full of stem cells that normally grow into blood cells, but they're working on ways to train them to turn into other things, like a new heart, so that you can, if your heart goes bad or gets damaged, you can get it replaced and not have to worry about tissue rejection. There are membranes on the bone. The outside, everywhere except where there's articular cartilage, is covered in periosteum, which is dense, irregular connective tissue. So it's tough, but it's flexible in multiple directions, and it has a blood supply that allows the vessels to get through it to the bone. Endosteum is on the inside, and some sources will say there's endosteum inside the periosteum, others call it 2 layers of periosteum. Endosteum is made of osteoblasts, which are bone-forming cells. Like we have fibroblasts make the general connective tissue matrix, osteoblasts make bone tissue. And they lay it down all around themselves, like painting yourself into a corner. When they're surrounded by bone tissue, they turn into the osteocytes that are scattered within the tissue. I thought I had a picture. No, okay. I was thinking I had a picture with the membranes, but apparently not. Microscopically, you've got your osteocytes that live in lacunae, gaps in the solid matrix. Matrix is arranged in layers called lamellae. And the lamellae aren't completely solid. There's little channels through them that connect the osteocytes. And those are called canaliculi. Each of these columns, as shown here, would be a lamella. Osteocytes scattered, connected by canaliculi. So this much we find in both compact and spongy bone. Compact has a little more to it, and it's densely packed. There's not gaps in it any bigger than needed to allow the blood vessels